Section 300.4e of the National Electrical Code addresses the protection of cables that run through studs, joists, and rafters. This is particularly relevant when dealing with non-metallic sheath cable, often called NM cable, installed in residential structures, including log homes. The primary concern is safeguarding the cable from physical damage, particularly from nails or screws that might be driven into the framing members after the wiring is installed. According to the code, when an NM cable is run through bored holes in studs, joists, or rafters, the holes should be bored at approximately the center of the wood member. The diameter of these holes should not exceed 1 and 1/4 inches. This centering helps to prevent nails or screws from penetrating the cable. Furthermore, when the cable is run through partitions, fire stops, or other concealed spaces and is closely stapled to the framing members, the staples should be at least 2 inches long. These staples should be driven until the prongs are flush with the surface of the framing member. The code also specifies that metal plates must be installed to protect the cable where it passes through studs, joists, or rafters that are less than 1 and 1/4 inches in thickness. These metal plates serve as a barrier, preventing nails or screws from piercing the cable. In the context of log homes, the application of these rules can be particularly important. Log homes often feature exposed beams and other wooden structural elements that are prone to shifting and settling over time. This movement can increase the risk of nails or screws being driven into the wiring. Additionally, the irregular surfaces of lug beams can make it difficult to ensure that the cable is properly protected. When NM cable is installed in grooves cut into ceiling beams, a common practice for concealing wiring, the requirements of Section 300.4e still apply. Most electrical inspectors require a metal plate to be installed over the cable in these grooves, regardless of the type of structure. This requirement stems from the need to protect the cable from potential damage caused by nails or screws used to install tongue and groove lumber, planks, or other finishing materials over the beams. The depth of the groove also plays a significant role in determining the appropriate protection measures. According to the NEC, a shallow groove is defined as a groove that is 1 and 1/4 inches or less in depth. If the NM cable is located in a groove that is deeper than 1 and 1/4 inches, it is not considered a shallow groove. In such cases, Section 300.4g of the NEC comes into play. This section addresses the protection of conductors from physical damage. It states that conductors entering boxes, cabinets, or other enclosures where they are to be connected or installed for future connection must be protected from damage. When the entering conductors are non-metallic sheathed or multi-conductor type cable, the protection must extend 6 inches beyond the exterior surface of boxes and cabinets where the conductors enter. If necessary to prevent damage to the cable, the protective material must be suitably secured to the building structure. In the case of NM cable installed in grooves deeper than 1 and 1/4 inches, a metal plate or other approved protective barrier can satisfy the requirements of Section 300.4g. This barrier provides additional protection for the cable and helps to prevent damage from nails, screws, or other objects. To summarize, firstly, most inspectors require a metal plate for NM cable installed in grooves cut into ceiling beams regardless of the type of structure. Secondly, grooves that are deeper than 1 and 1/4 inches are not considered shallow grooves and require a protective barrier between the NM cable and the framing member. It is crucial to consult with local electrical inspectors and building officials to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. They can provide specific guidance on the proper installation techniques and protection measures for NM cable in log homes and other types of structures. Understanding the requirements of the National Electrical Code is essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical systems in residential buildings. By following these guidelines, electrical contractors and homeowners can help to prevent electrical hazards and protect property from damage. Section 300.4 provides detailed requirements for protecting electrical wiring from physical damage. Subsection addresses protection against nails and screws in general. It states that where cables or raceways are installed in shallow grooves, recesses, or chases in wood or other building materials, they must be protected by steel plates or bushings that are at least 1.59 mm, which is 1/16 of an inch thick. These plates or bushings must cover the wiring in the area where it might be subject to damage from nails or screws. Subsection B focuses on cable or raceway through metal framing members. It states that where cables or raceways pass through metal studs, joists, or rafters, they must be protected by bushings or grommets that are securely fastened to the framing member. The bushings or grommets must be designed to prevent the cable or raceway from being damaged by the sharp edges of the metal framing member. Subsection C addresses cables parallel to framing members. It states that where cables are installed parallel to framing members, such as studs or joists, they must be installed at least 1 and 1/4 inches from the nearest edge of the framing member. This helps to prevent nails or screws from being driven into the cable. If the cable cannot be installed at least 1 and 1/4 inches from the edge of the framing member, it must be protected by a steel plate or bushing. Subsection D covers cables through spaces behind panels designed to allow access. It states that where cables are installed in spaces behind panels that are designed to allow access, such as removable wall panels or ceiling tiles, they must be protected from physical damage. This can be achieved by installing the cables in a raceway or by using a steel plate or bushing to protect them. Subsection E specifically addresses cables run through studs, joists, and rafters, which is most relevant to the initial question. It states that when non-metallic sheathed cable is run through bored holes in studs, joists, and rafters, the holes must be bored at the approximate center of the wood member and must have a diameter not exceeding 1 and 1/4 inches. This centering helps to minimize the risk of nails or screws being driven into the cable. It also states that where the cables run through partitions, fire stops, or other concealed spaces, and where the cable is closely stapled to the framing members, the staples must not be less than 2 inches long. These staples must be driven until the prongs are flush with the surface of the framing member. Furthermore, metal plates must be installed under the cable where it passes through studs, joists, or rafters that are less than 1 and 1/4 inches in thickness. These metal plates provide additional protection for the cable. Subsection F deals with cables entering boxes, conduit bodies, or fittings. It states that where cables enter boxes, conduit bodies, or fittings, they must be protected from abrasion. This can be achieved by using cable connectors or by installing bushings in the ends of the cables. Subsection G addresses protection from physical damage in general. It states that conductors entering boxes, cabinets, or other enclosures where they are to be connected, or installed for future connection, must be protected from damage. Where the entering conductors are non-metallic sheathed or multi-conductor type cable, the protection must extend 6 inches beyond the exterior surface of boxes and cabinets where the conductors enter. Where necessary to prevent damage to the cable, the protective material must be suitably secured to the building structure. In the context of log homes, it is important to carefully consider the unique challenges posed by the construction of these structures. Log walls and ceilings can be uneven and may contain knots or other imperfections that could damage the wiring. It is also important to ensure that the wiring is properly secured to the logs to prevent it from moving or becoming damaged over time. When installing an NEC cable in log homes, it is generally recommended to use a combination of techniques to protect the wiring. This may include running the cable through bored holes in the logs, installing metal plates over the cable where it passes through framing members, and using cable connectors or bushings to protect the cable from abrasion. It is also important to consult with local electrical inspectors and building officials to ensure that the wiring is installed in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. They can provide specific guidance on the proper installation techniques and protection measures for NEC cable in log homes. When dealing with installations in grooves, particularly in log homes, it is crucial to differentiate between shallow grooves and deeper channels. The NEC doesn't explicitly define shallow groove in a dedicated definition section, but the context of section 300.4 implies that grooves 1 and 1/4 inches or less in depth are considered shallow. Anything exceeding this depth should be treated with greater caution and may necessitate more robust protection methods. For grooves exceeding 1 and 1/4 inches, Section 300.4g becomes particularly relevant. This section emphasizes protection from physical damage and mandates that conductors entering enclosures or installed for future connections must be protected. In such scenarios, a metal plate or a similarly robust protective barrier becomes essential to shield the NN cable from potential damage. The choice of protective material is also critical. While metal plates are commonly used, other approved barriers can also be employed, provided they offer equivalent protection against physical damage. The key is to ensure that the chosen material is durable, resistant to corrosion, and capable of withstanding the stresses and potential hazards present in the installation environment. Furthermore, the method of securing the protective material is paramount. The NEC stipulates that the protective material must be suitably secured to the building structure. This means that the chosen fastening method must be appropriate for the type of material being used and the substrate to which it is being attached. Screws, nails, or adhesives may be used, but they must be of sufficient size and strength to ensure that the protective material remains firmly in place over time. In addition to the physical protection of the NN cable, it is also essential to consider the potential for environmental factors to impact the wiring. Log homes, in particular, are susceptible to moisture and insect infestation, which can damage electrical wiring over time. To mitigate these risks, it is recommended to use moisture-resistant cable and to seal any openings or penetrations in the logs to prevent moisture from entering. It is also advisable to treat the logs with insecticide to protect them from pests. When planning electrical installations in log homes, it is crucial to work closely with qualified electricians who have experience in this type of construction. These professionals will be familiar with the unique challenges posed by log homes and will be able to recommend the most appropriate wiring methods and protection measures. They will also be able to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable codes and regulations. In addition to the NEC, local building codes and regulations may also impose specific requirements for electrical installations in log homes. It is essential to be aware of these requirements and to comply with them to ensure the safety and legality of the installation. Local building officials can provide guidance on the specific codes and regulations that apply in a given area. They can also conduct inspections to ensure that the installation meets all applicable requirements. Proper planning and execution are essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical installations in log homes. By carefully considering the unique challenges posed by these structures and by following the guidelines outlined in the NEC and local building codes, it is possible to create electrical systems that are both safe and aesthetically pleasing. It is always prudent to err on the side of caution when it comes to electrical safety. If there is any doubt about the proper way to install wiring or protect it from damage, it is best to consult with a qualified electrician or building official. Taking the time to do things right from the start can prevent costly and potentially dangerous problems down the road. Remember that electricity can be dangerous if it is not handled properly. Always turn off the power before working on any electrical circuits and never attempt to repair or modify electrical wiring unless you are qualified to do so. By following these simple precautions, you can help to ensure your safety and the safety of others. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards that covers all aspects of electrical installations. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is important to stay up to date on the latest version of the NEC to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and compliant. The NEC is available for purchase from the National Fire Protection Association (NFPA). It is also available online through various subscription services. Studying the NEC can be a valuable investment for anyone who works with electrical wiring. It can help you to understand the requirements for safe and compliant electrical installations. In addition to the NEC, there are many other resources available to help you learn about electrical wiring. These include textbooks, online courses, and training programs. Taking advantage of these resources can help you to develop the skills and knowledge you need to work safely and effectively with electricity. Electricity is an essential part of modern life, but it can also be dangerous if it is not handled properly. By following the guidelines outlined in the NEC and by seeking out additional training and resources, you can help to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and reliable. Remember that electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By working together, we can create a safer environment for ourselves and for future generations. In summary, when installing NM cable in local homes, pay close attention to Section 300.4 of the National Electrical Code, especially subsections E and G. Ensure that all wiring is adequately protected from physical damage, using metal plates or other approved barriers as needed. Consult with local inspectors and qualified electricians to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Prioritize safety and take the time to do the job right.